Hey guys, before I get started, I just want to say quickly that do not be confused by the images that I use here and some of the phrasing that I'm going to use. That is because I'm trying not to include anything inappropriate or have any kids in my video. Okay, so bear with me and kind of try to understand what it is that I'm saying. I believe in August, Netflix released a movie that was made by a French Senegalese filmmaker that goes by the name Maimouna. Okay, so she made this movie, and the film is supposedly a coming of age story about an 11-year-old Senegalese girl who is discovering herself as she matures, and she's looking for acceptance from her family, and her family is very religious, and from a group of dancers that she met. That's the premise of the story. However, the way that the film was marketed and some of the imagery that was used was very problematic because there were kids and the imagery were not the most appropriate. So it did not sit well with a lot of people. It was kind of riding the fence a little bit with the way the kids were depicted. So it caused an uproar. A lot of people spoke out against the movie. Maimouna, the filmmaker, obviously supported her movie, and she said, "We as adults have not given children the tools to grow up healthy in our society." Well, while that's true, I don't see how that explains the reason for the girls being scantily clad. I don't see how that explains it. I don't see how anything that Maimouna or Netflix has said regarding how girls are treated negatively is being helped, or how that problem is being solved by the way the girls are depicted. We already know how girls are depicted. We already know what girls go through. We don't need to see it in a movie. Showing it in a movie explicitly is not, it does not solve any problem whatsoever. Netflix stood by the movie. And according to Netflix, they said the movie is a powerful story about the pressure young girls face on social media and from society in general as they grow up. This is what Netflix said. So they supported the movie. The filmmaker, Maimouna herself, stood by her movie, and she said it's supposed to be an educational film that's supposed to depicts the negativity of the sexualization of kids. But a lot of people were not buying it, okay? There was a lot of noise. It kind of died down a little bit. Some people watched the movie. I did not watch it. Based on the negativity surrounding the movie, I decided I was not going to watch it, so I did not watch it. However, I know of some people that watched it and they said it's a very good story, and they found the movie to be very interesting and they liked it. They did not think that there was anything necessarily wrong with the way the girls were depicted, and they thought that it was kind of realistic with, girls these days and what's going on in society. Well, today, being October, the Tyler County, Texas grand jury clearly does not agree with Maimouna and Netflix because they have decided to bring a charge on Netflix for, broadcasting this movie to tons of people. Netflix has a lot of followers, a lot of users, and they are laying down the gavel. And they are saying we have to bring Netflix in for some questioning because this is not appropriate. So it's kind of a big deal because this is a big problem. This problem of kids being depicted in this particular way is a big problem. And it's kind of a can of worms, because once you allow something like this, what's going to happen is other people, other filmmakers, other establishments will begin to push the envelope as far as advertising and movies and music and how they depict children. And it's a can of worms, and I certainly do not agree with the way the kids are depicted. Based on, I've seen some of the photos and the poster, and I don't think that the way the children were depicted is necessary to communicate the message they were trying to communicate. It was not necessary at all. There's no reason why they cannot make a documentary and talk to the kids, or have some kids talk about their pressures on social media and family and all that, if that was really their goal. But I think that they wanted something fun and interesting and risque. And when they put it out and it got backlash, suddenly it's all about education and whatever excuse they were trying to give. The Texas grand jury said that the way the children were depicted was unnecessary, and that the film did not have any serious artistic, educational, religious, or political message, basically, that they were trying to communicate. And it sounded as if they were trying to say that the filmmaker basically looks for an excuse just to depict girls in that manner, and it was not okay. They're taking it very seriously, and from what I see, this might result in either some serious fines for Netflix, or some changes in the law that will restrict this kinds of films from being put out. I've heard some people say that the movie speaks against the sexualization of kids. However, the movie itself is sexualizing kids, because these are 11, 12-year-old girls, barely clothed, and they were sexualized on the poster. And so how do you speak against something by depicting the same thing? They're basically just promoting it, and it's weird. I don't understand how this woman, the filmmaker Maimona, does not see what is wrong with this picture. I don't see how she does not see how problematic this is, especially at this time when something like this is so rampant. It is so common. They're constantly trying to fight against adults that do this sort of a thing. And there's so many videos out there on the internet that the law enforcement is trying to scrub because of the kids that are depicted in them inappropriately. They're being shared, and there's a very large group of people that support this kind of a behavior. So it's not a secret thing. So I don't understand why Maimona and Netflix are refusing to see the perspective of, the Texas grand jury. And obviously, the law enforcement is not going to back down from Netflix. They are going to proceed with this. It is turning into a more serious problem for Netflix, and I'm kind of glad that they're doing this. And honestly, a part of me hope that there will be some very serious consequences for Netflix, because I feel like Netflix, they have some really shady practices with the way they do their business. Because I know surrounding the Monique issue, Monique the comedian, they made some strange changes that they did not have before, just to continue to be able to take advantage of people like her. And then now with this movie, they're acting as if they see nothing wrong with it. Well, at least they were acting as if they saw nothing wrong with it. But now that it is serious and they're being indicted, they are suddenly apologizing. So basically, they're saying they're deeply sorry for the inappropriate artwork that was used, and that they've updated the pictures and the description of the movie. But from my understanding, this indictment is not just because of the picture that was used in advertising or in the description of the movie. It's the way the girls were portrayed in the movie itself. Now, like I said, I have not seen the movie, so I don't know. However, I don't think all of this is just about the picture. But Netflix is apologizing for the picture and the description, and they're still refusing to take responsibility and say that, okay, perhaps this movie was not a good idea. We did not have to portray these kids this way in order to send our message. They are not doing that. They're just taking responsibility for the picture and the description. They're just digging themselves into a bigger hole, because I do not see the Tyler County grand jury simply backing off of this. It's just not going to happen. This is going to blow up in Netflix's face, and it's just going to be a bigger problem and bring them more negative publicity. As far as the filmmaker herself, even if she wanted to depict how social media negatively affects girls and how growing up girls have to fight the constant pressure to engage in this kinds of behavior, even if she wanted to depict those things, there was a way that she could have gone about it. She could easily have sort of portray the girls thinking about it, or portray the girls observing someone older engaging in this without the girls themselves engaging. And it's like there's so many ways she could have gone about it. Better yet, if she wanted to really draw attention and that was her focus, she could have just made a documentary and just talked to girls, interviewed girls. But I guess that would have been too boring, and she wanted a movie. But there are definitely ways that she could have shown the girls being put under pressure from older girls that are engaging in this exact behavior. It did not have to be these kids specifically in those outfits depicted the way they were depicted. So that's why I'm not buying the whole where we're trying to draw attention and this is just stuff that happened in real life. Yes, that's true, but it could have been depicted in a different way. This is just a weird thing where some people simply refuse to see the obvious. When it comes to kids, it doesn't matter what story you're trying to tell. It doesn't matter what information you're trying to give. They cannot be depicted in an inappropriate way. Whatever it is you're trying to say, you can say it without depicting kids in inappropriate ways. Because there's some people that will see this kind of a movie no matter how great the story is. And I've heard people say that this particular movie has a very good story, and the sexuality was not the focus. Yeah, that's well and good. However, there's some people that will see this movie, and regardless of how good the story is, they will not focus on the story. They will focus on their own sick minds, on whatever else they want to focus on as far as the kids and the kids' outfits, or the kids' lack of outfits, or the kids' dance moves, or everything else except the story. When you give people an inch, they take a mile. If you make this kind of a movie okay, before you know it, other filmmakers or so-called filmmakers, basically a person with a camera who declares themselves a filmmaker, is able to push the boundary of what is okay and how kids can be depicted. So I feel like we should have a zero tolerance policy towards this kinds of behavior. If you cannot tell a particular story without having little kids being scantily dressed, then you have no business telling that story in the first place. Let somebody else do the job. Someone else that can communicate effectively and have people understand them without showing anything inappropriate or showing kids in inappropriate ways. As far as the people that saw the movie and liked the story and enjoyed it and were able to focus on the story, that's well and good. Nobody is saying that the story isn't interesting. People are saying that the way the kids are depicted is inappropriate. So regardless of how good the story is, it does not change the fact that the kids should not have been depicted in that way. So yeah, I don't see why having a good story should excuse depicting children in inappropriate ways. That's not an excuse. They just have to find a way around it. So that's basically all I have on this topic. I'm going to follow the story and see what happens and see if Netflix is able to get out of this one, although I highly doubt it, especially following the Epstein problem. So, yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in my next one. Bye, guys.